Wartales, developed by Shiro Games, does not pull any punches. Right from the beginning, you're dropped in its world, without any indication of where to go, what to do, or what's next on the list. It's up to you to make your story, but don't expect it to be easy. You're not an overpowered hero or the chosen one, but instead just someone else trying to survive in this world. The sense of freedom is one of the best parts of Wartales, and at the same time, can leave you wandering around trying to figure out what to do next, with some bugs along the way.
Wartales is an interesting game, and I was first attracted by the idea of playing a game with a heavy focus on RPG and survival type mechanics. As you all know, I love RPGs, as well as survival games. If a game is saying they're going to mix the two up a bit, then I was down to try it out. When I started out in the game, I was really impressed with its graphics. The overall tone and color palette made me feel like this world might be a little unforgiving, even though it was beautiful. Wartales has taken a realistic approach to their game that made me feel like my characters were struggling from the very start. And they were. My first playthrough, I was robbed for trying to be nice and give an old beggar some money, and then one of my party members died from exhaustion. Guys, I honestly had some crazy flashbacks to when I was in grade school and playing Oregon Trail. And in a way, this game seems like a very ramped up version of that. Lots more details and depth were given to the world. But if I were to try to explain this game to someone, I'd say Oregon Trail is the calm before the storm that is Wartales.
Wartales gives you the world and expects you to make your own way through it. After stumbling around for the first few minutes, I found a town where I picked up a few contracts and set out to complete them. You'll need to manage your party's hunger, happiness, comfort, energy, and their wages. Party members can and will leave if you don't take care of them. Take on too many party members and you might be drowning in overdue wages and hungry stomachs. Managing this is actually really fun, but sometimes can be confusing as you try and figure out what's wrong with them. Each member can also be assigned a job, ranging from an apothecary to a blacksmith, and those jobs can be changed freely, but just know that you'll lose the experience gained for the job thus far. The choices in Wartales are another thing that have really stood out to me. There is no right answer as to how to handle a situation, and the game will change around you in line with your choices. Do you help the refugees, getting in with their leader and trying to help them rebuild? Or do you fall in line with the local farmers who are trying to protect their land and crops? Wartales has a lot of these situations already, and I'm so curious to see how my choices will affect the rest of the game.
There's so much you can do to cultivate relationships in the game. They definitely affect you later on, though. I was overly anxious about making certain choices, seeing as just being nice might get you robbed. There was no real way to play a certain type of character, to have a certain type of team, like good or evil. I mean, this world is completely chaotic. There are consequences for every single thing you do when it comes to taking on contracts and interacting with the locals of each town.
Combat is also tough, but really enjoyable. Each character's abilities change depending on their weapons, and when they level up, you assign your stat points. The various abilities you gain as you level up are pretty badass as well, with my favorite so far being a wide dagger swing that poises depending on how many enemies hit. Its turn-based combat is satisfying, and you'll have to be careful when thinking about which enemies to engage with each character. Make a wrong move and you'll get punished for it quickly, as the enemies generally hit just as hard as you do.
I'd say if you want to dive into a world where chaos and mayhem are waiting just around every corner, then this is definitely a game you should try out. I, of course, played on the easiest mode and still had to face things that had me sitting back like, are you serious right now? We just rested. How are you dead? And other moments where I was like, thought you could run up on me and my boys. Think again, son. Really, it's just a really good time. Even if you do feel a little overwhelmed at first. I mean, listen, don't start nothing, won't be nothing. And that being said, I definitely got my ass handed to me more often than not.
Wartales isn't without its own share of issues though. The early access label should definitely be kept in mind, as there's slowdowns and crashes, bugged missions that prevent you from finishing them, and text that's still in French, even when playing in English. Nothing about it is game breaking, and you might have to pop open Google Translate to figure out what a couple of the abilities do, and hopefully as development continues these things will get smoothed out. The missions thus far are also usually nothing more than go to this place, kill the enemies, and return. Some more varied mission structure would help a lot with the pacing of the game.
At the end of the day, I can definitely see a lot of my friends and others really getting into this game, especially if you like being thrown into worlds that have a counteraction for everything you do. It gives a juicier bite, in my opinion. I'm not sure far how I'll get, but with the game being the way it is, I'm sure to go down fighting.
Wartales is off to a really promising start. Its world is dark and oppressive, your choices matter, and the combat is a lot of fun. Its early access tag is definitely earned, but the future looks bright for Wartales. I'm excited to see what's added and to see what comes next. Go check out Wartales. A big thank you to Stride PR for providing us with a code for review. If you want to check out more from us, hit the links below. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Thanks for watching.